You have a vision of a life that most people can't even imagine. You see the penthouse, the impact, the legacy. You want to be at the top of the mountain. But right now, you're on the couch and you've been staring at a blank screen for 2 hours. You feel like a walking contradiction. You're ambitious enough to dream it, but you're lazy enough to let the day slip away without doing a single thing to achieve it. People tell you that you're just unmotivated, or worse, that you're a fraud who likes the idea of success but doesn't want to work for it. But here's the twist. What if your laziness isn't a character flaw? What if it's actually a sophisticated defense mechanism built by a brain that is terrified of its own potential? Let's talk about the psychology of the ambitious loner and why being lazy is often just a symptom of being overwhelmed by your own vision. This tension between wanting everything and doing nothing creates a psychological state called creative paralysis. Because your goals are so high, the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels like an ocean. Your brain looks at that distance and decides that the safest way to avoid drowning is to never leave the shore. So you procrastinate, you sleep in. You research instead of doing. You aren't lazy because you lack drive. You're lazy because your drive is so intense that any step less than perfect feels like a failure. This is where the self-sabotage kicks in. If you recognize this cycle, if you're tired of being the person with all the potential and none of the results, hit that subscribe button. This channel is about understanding the mechanics of your mind so you can bridge the gap between your ambition and your actions. Let's figure out how to stop the ambitious lazy loop together. Psychologically, this often traces back to something called self-worth contingency. If you believe that your value as a person is tied directly to your success, then failing at a high-stakes goal isn't just a setback, it's an existential crisis. To protect your ego, your brain chooses laziness as a convenient excuse. If you don't try and you fail, you can tell yourself, I only failed because I didn't try. If I actually gave it 100%, I'd be unstoppable. It's a way to keep the dream of your greatness alive without ever having to test it against reality. This is also linked to high levels of functional procrastination. You might find that you're capable of incredible bursts of energy when the deadline is 2 hours away, but you can't function when you have 2 weeks. You're relying on stress-induced dopamine to override your fear of failure. You aren't a slacker. You're an adrenaline junkie who is using crisis to bypass perfectionism. To break this cycle, you have to stop waiting for your laziness to disappear and start lowering the stakes. You have to give yourself permission to be average on the way to being great. Ambition tells you to build the empire today. Psychology tells you to just put on your shoes. The lazy part of you isn't the enemy. It's the part of you that's exhausted by the pressure you're putting on yourself. When you stop viewing every task as a test of your worth, the resistance starts to fade. You aren't a contradiction. You're a person with a massive engine and a handbrake that's stuck. The key isn't to get a bigger engine, it's to learn how to release the brake. You can be ambitious and still need rest. You can have big dreams and still struggle to start, but you can't win if you never leave the couch. So, stop protecting your potential and start using it, even if it feels messy, even if it feels small. The empire is built in the lazy moments when you decide to do one thing anyway.